I really need to get a better fucking recording setup. I need to get a better camera for recording this shit. But what am I here for today? Today I'm just going to go over really quickly because I said I need to start making more videos and I haven't. And yeah, I've just been a retard, really, basically. So that's what I'm gonna try. I think part of my New Year's resolution, I'm gonna have to write this down. Is I think I want to do a week in review video every week, for the next like 52 weeks, I guess. Yeah, yeah, pretty much. Basically, week in review every week in 2026. So what I'm doing this right now is kind of to clear up what's happened from the last video up until now, which has been not much. I can't remember what I said in the last video. Um, so I'm probably gonna say some of the same shit, but is what it is. Basically, I'm gonna be really quick. Um, got my first kind of client. It was I did record a video like a few hours later on my phone, just me in my pajamas talking about how I felt. I'm not going to post that now. Maybe in a few years I'll post that or something. Um, I haven't even rewatched it. It's just I just said, it'd probably be a good time to grab my phone and record it just to say how I feel. And in short, how I felt was very neutral. Um, because it was my second sales call, and I offered pay after results basically. 500 euro retainer fee plus 15 euro a day ad spend. So you're probably looking at 950 to a grand a month in spend total there. Um, but like what the reason I didn't feel happy about it, it's not the fact that I got my client after my second sales call, but the sales call was brutal, like really bad. Not bad in the sense that like I didn't have confidence. I had no idea what I was doing or anything, but in the sense that mostly what happened was he didn't have great English and he would like to ramble, and I had kind of a lack of control in the conversation. Really, that's what it was in Discovery. Like Discovery went on for 30 minutes. We all know it should really just be 20. Um, because what would happen is I'd ask a question, he'd kind of half answer it and then ramble on some more, and because like obviously because I'm new and I'm not good at sales, but on top of that I'd be like, maybe he's gonna mention something here, and it could be something useful. So I kind of need to know when to cut people off when they're rambling too much, and that only comes with more reps. Um, and that's kind of why Discovery went on too long. And at that point, it was going on too long. At 30 minutes, I didn't even get all my questions in, but I was like, fuck, if this goes on any longer, this is like I have to still get my pitch in, and then I have to do objections and stuff. So I just need to cut it here. So that's what I did. Now I did have decent information why he wanted to do it and stuff. I didn't I went over a problem in his current situation, and favorable, not favorable, um I went over outcome or desired, you could say. I didn't dig that deep into consequence in terms of what happens if you don't do this, which I touched lightly on it, but it was a lot more surface level because I didn't have a lot of time, because I had not shut him down in time as well. And the other problem I forgot to mention is when he was speaking, because he spoke English and he could understand everything I said, but his English wasn't. It was like 70% there. So sometimes he'd ramble and sometimes he'd say something, and I would just have no fucking idea what he meant. Um, and like again, it was just a lack of reps really from my part, and not knowing to stop the conversation and guide him more. But that's what it was really at the end of the day. So basically done my pitch, and went over pricing and stuff. And he said, "Yeah, let's go ahead with it." And I was like, "What the fuck?" Like my first sales call, I felt I had done a much better job than in my second one. My second one was the one I fucking closed, and that was a mess. Um, like uh, to put it into perspective, how I felt was it was like I came dead last in the race and had somehow gotten the gold medal. That is how it felt. Um, that's probably the best way I could say how it felt. Um, yeah, I did not deserve the client from that point of view. Maybe I should extend this a little bit. Yeah, so I did not deserve the client from that point of view, and yeah, that's just how it went basically. So now I did get him on pay after results because again, I'm just eager to get somebody across the line, get some results, get a portfolio piece, and basically that's the goal really from there. Um, Now, yeah, I have got his card connected to the meta and stuff, and we're getting it set up now. Basically this week, but again, the problem is with Christmas, it's so fucking busy for people, so busy for trades. So it's kind of this week I'm going to set up as much as I can, and then I'm going to try get some stuff off him, and then next week we should be launching it. Um, and we'll see how it goes. I am a bit nervous. No, actually, I'm not nervous at all right now. I'll be nervous when they launch, but there's no nerves right now. Yeah, that's basically it. It doesn't feel like a win because well, also I suppose it doesn't feel like a win because once you get the client, you have to deliver now. So it's like this constant. Even though it's a win, it's like it's yeah, it's a win, but you don't have time to take it in. And I suppose sometimes that's just business. You don't have time to take in the win because it's like, fuck, what's next? Like, oh fuck, now I have to learn how to deliver this. You know, and that's just how it is. That's just fucking business. That's how it is. Um, yeah, and so that's how that is. That's where that is. First client in two sales calls, 50% close rate. Fucking mental. Now, as much as I am not good at sales, I would say I am in good. I am good at every aspect, apart from the skill of getting better at questions and jumping in across different parts in discovery, and then of course objection handling, right? And like, as in, and what I mean by that is that the only way I'm going to get better from where I am right now is just by more reps. And I know you're saying, "Oh, Charlie, that's fucking obvious. Of course, you want to get better at sales um, by 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 doing more sales calls." And that's majorly true, but it's not entirely true because my confidence on calls is very. I don't know where it comes from. I was talking about this in the coaching community, in the sales coaching community, with a few guys earlier, and I think where my confidence comes from is I've built an identity of competence throughout my whole life. Like, I've always been very intelligent in school, at least, depends how you judge intelligence, but academically I've always done very well. Sports wise, I've always done, I wouldn't be the best on sport, on teams, on ball sports teams, but I've always been very good at karate. And I do jiu-jitsu, won karate nationals in Ireland a few years ago, and then now I'm a blue belt in jiu-jitsu. I'm pretty decent at that, so I've always been very strong athletic. Now that's also because I trained, by the way. I was never genetically gifted, certainly not in strength. I've just been training in the gym since I was 13. Been training karate since I was 5, and jiu-jitsu since I was like 15. So I've just been training a long time. But I've built up an identity of competence in athleticism, and I've built up an identity of competence. You could say intelligence-wise and socially as well. Like, I've always been lucky enough to have a good group of friends, but I've also been always not actually no, I've not always been good at talking to girls, definitely not. But I've definitely gotten good at that over like the last year and a half, right? And so I've kind of, when you build up this identity of competence, it gives you confidence just in life and who you are, because it's like, I don't know how to do ads, but I go into every other aspect of life and I'm very competent in it. So why would this be any different? Okay, and that's basically that. So I think that's where my confidence comes from. And that's what I mean. My confidence, my ability to talk to people, my ability to deliver the pitch, that is all there, and that is all good. My ability to follow the script is generally good. Again, more reps, I'll get better, but I definitely do come from a decent starting point, which is it's great, of course. So then, really quickly, I know I made a video like this in the summer, but we done it again in the sales coaching community today, so I want to go over it. My goals for the year, basically, very quickly. 8k a month is my goal for the year. 1 second. 8k a month is my goal for the year, which is, roughly speaking, that's going to be about 15 clients, each paying anywhere from 5 to 600 euro a month to me. So, the plan is kind of 8k cash collected, or 8k recurring. Obviously, when you get people to pay 3 months up front, that can be great and stuff as well, like that. But for me, I'm kind of thinking of this in a recurring thing, of course. Now technically, if you keep making sales of 3 months up front, you're going to hit your 8k, but you're going to hit more than 8k, and technically then your recurring revenue will hit 8k. But anyway, I'm over intellectualizing it, but basically I want to have not 15 clients, like it could be 10 clients paying me 800 a month, but 8k a month recurring is basically the goal on a monthly basis, um, which basically means from now until the end of the year, I basically have to sign 1.2 clients a year. We'll up that to 2 clients a month, or 1.25 clients a month. We'll up that to 2 clients a month to take out churn. Maybe a client drops off here and there. Now, hopefully not, but at the same time, you have to be realistic. You're not going to keep everybody. And yeah, basically 2 clients a month is the goal. With my current statistics based on like the maybe 200 dials I've made, that will take about 2,500 dials a month to hit 2 clients a month. That's like a 4.5% appointment booking rate, a 35% show up rate, and a 5% close rate. Obviously I can't work off like a 50% close rate because that was just pure randomness. But that's kind of where I'm currently, with the close rate, I'm guessing on where I'm at. Maybe I'm at a 10%. Especially perhaps by my 10th sales call, I will be at a 10% close rate. Like you might start at 2% close rate on your first call, on your very first call, but after your second call, you're up to a 4% close rate. Obviously, you can't tell the difference because you haven't closed anything, but your skills have gotten to the level of someone who was at a 4% close rate. So that's the other thing I'm trying to take into account here. So I think for me to set my more realistic, not more realistic, but for me to kind of, obviously you have KPIs and you have where you're at, and I'm kind of me drawing the middle ground. Like a KPI for show up rate could be 50-60%. I'm drawing kind of the middle ground and saying, maybe with my current systems in place and the way my experience and stuff, I'm expecting 40% show up rate. And then I'd like to think that within 2-3 months of now, I can hit a 10% close rate. Now it could be higher. I wouldn't like to think that it's less if I'm sitting calls consistently. I wouldn't imagine it would be less than 10%. Again, just because I've got confidence, I do have intelligence, I can learn and I will learn and I will get better at sales as they go on, definitely. So, in terms of sales, I don't have a lack of belief in my ability to get good at sales and to get to a 10% close rate, which is nothing crazy anyway. And if I have a 5% appointment booking rate, 4% show up rate, and a 10% close rate, that would take 1,000 dials to get to 2 clients, which is, and that's dials, by the way. That's not even people spoken to. That's dials. So that's pretty easy then in that way. Now obviously these are all speaking numbers here, but and it's about actually doing it and seeing how it goes. But the numbers aren't that crazy. Like 5% appointment booking rate, that's basically standard. Right now it is 4.5. So I could easily get to 5, with a little bit more practice and just more data. Like I've only made 200 dials. Show up rate, again, that could get to 40% with better follow-ups, booking more in the same day and stuff like that. And again, 200 dials. I haven't booked loads of appointments either. So my current show up rate was at like 30%, but it could be at 40%. Like I haven't even booked 10 meetings. So it's, it's with my current actual statistics, there's not enough there to judge. But it does prove that there is some sort of a minimum that I've gotten, right? Apart from the close rate, that's definitely not the minimum. So yeah, if I can hit that kind of 1,000 dials to get to 2 clients a month within 2-3 months, if I can hit that kind of metric, then I'm fucking sorted. Because also, I plan to make like, at least 100 dials a day, which is by no means a lot. So 100 dials a day, 20 days a month, every weekday, that's 2,000 dials a month. So, even at my current state, with my current analytics or statistics, whatever you want to call them, 2,500 dials, that's still doable in a month. Now, I'm still only going to make 100 dials a month, or 100 dials a month, 100 dials a day. Maybe I'll change that as time goes on. The other problem I'm also facing with Ireland is that my lead listing is incredibly small, just because Ireland's a much smaller country. So it's entirely possible what I might have to do is looking into running my own ads on Facebook. And I know it's counterintuitive because, why would you try to run inbound when you're not even running outbound? But we'll see. It's something I have to play with, because I'd hate to not be able to get a fucking client in my own country. But, because it's definitely possible, because I know Irish people doing what I'm doing exactly, and they have Irish clients. So I really want to get an Irish client before I even have to think about going across to the UK or something, as in targeting the UK. Um, but realistically, that's going to also, yeah, working with an Irish person, being an Irish person would be a lot easier to sell as well. Like the whole thing just plays in my part if we're both Irish. So that's my goal, is get one Irish client, and if I get good results for that client, then I'll target that same niche in the UK. No, I target it in Ireland as well, but again, in Ireland we've got like maybe 2-3 cities that ads might actually work in. And even then, those cities aren't massive. Like Dublin's got 1.2 million. The island of Ireland has like 6 million, just say. But I mean, like Manchester City isn't very fucking far off the whole population of the entirety of Ireland, right? So it is always going to be a market size problem in Ireland, and that's why I will definitely eventually have to move across to the UK or the US and stuff. But again, like I said, I want to delay that as much as possible. And back to the whole thing, like in terms of Irish leads, I think I've maybe only got like 800 leads left to call, which, like, that obviously, that's the thing, that's nothing. That's why why I'm kind of comfortable making 100 dials a day. Now that really doesn't make sense, because that doesn't mean anything. Like, just because I'm going to run out of them sooner doesn't mean I should prolong how long it takes for me to call them. But yeah, also, sorry, the other reason I would run only 100 dials a day, because if my ABR is 5%, that means I'm booking in 5 meetings a day with 100 dials. Now, I pretty much always try to get a meeting on the same day, especially with tradesmen. They're who I work with, because tradesmen never know their schedule. Even when they think they know it, they don't know it, and sometimes stuff comes up. So that's why I try to get them on the same day, because otherwise, obviously, the longer out a meeting is with anybody, they're always less likely to show up. But with tradesmen, it's like, I feel like it's even less likely, because sometimes they might even mean to come up, but then an emergency comes and stuff. So that's why I try to book it all on the same day. And if I'm booking more or less all of my meetings sometime on the same day, like 5 meetings a day is like probably the most I can handle, because that's 5 hours in a day gone. And I still have to have time for cold calling, and I still have to have time to actually do any work that I sell, and post fucking week in review videos and stuff like that. So it's that's why I'm comfortable with the 100 dials a day, really, you know. And that's where I'm at, basically. So yeah, I mean, if we were to look, I obviously haven't reviewed December. If we were to look at December as a month, it's been pretty poor. The work rate was poor, everything was poor. The only good thing that came out of it was a client. Now, the only thing I'll have in my defense is when I did try doing cold calling and stuff, shit got on my way, got put on spam. Then I tried other services, and they want proof of limited company, and like all these, like, I did get fucked over. It was actually hard to gain momentum, because I'd make call calls and then get put into spam, or then I'd have to find a new way to call, and so it wasn't all me being lazy. Like, I could have worked harder, but at the same time, I was also getting the figurative shit kicked out of me, just with shit I couldn't anticipate. So it was a mix. And then in terms of coming up to Christmas, like, I was, even 2 weeks out of Christmas, I was having one or two guys cancel the meeting and told me to call them back in the new year, and that they want to do marketing in the new year, but just they're too busy right now. So that's the other side of it as well, is that coming up to Christmas, especially now, because again, with tradesmen, a lot of them are one-man bands, or not far from one-man bands, which means that they're generally a lot busier coming up to Christmas, because they're about to take like a week and a half, 2 weeks off at Christmas, and they need to work up, not just to pay themselves, but obviously people know the tradesmen aren't doing as much work over Christmas, so they try to get them in before it as well. So there's a few factors contributing to the lack of appointments set and stuff in December, and that's why. Yeah, now arguably I could have done more work over December regardless, and not made dials and then made content instead or something. And avoiding making content, you could say that was just laziness. There's no real excuse for that. And then, yeah, I mean, I've done bits of work here and there, but a lot of it was just relaxing over Christmas. And whether it was deserved or not, no, I don't really believe in deserving it or not. You kind of set the tone yourself. But that's where it was, and I definitely was more lax than I should have been will watch what I've been doing because I couldn't be making cold calls, and they're the most high leverage thing I could be doing. Like there's no other way for me to acquire clients realistically. As much as posting content can help, it's not going to book me meetings. It's not going to get me closes. So that's why I feel like that's probably why I felt okay taking Christmas off, was because I was just like, there's not loads I can do right now. Now that being said, like I said, obviously, even if I'm doing something like content, diminishing returns are still always returns. So I'm not shying away from the fact that I chose not to work, but it definitely, me choosing not to work over Christmas did not really change the trajectory of my business, not vastly anyway. Um, I mean, I'm at the bottom. I couldn't go any lower. um, and that's basically where I am. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I need to say. I really don't think so. I do think that's it. I mean, there's my money goal. Personal goals wise, like what? Get a good sleep, train every day. I'd love to say get a girlfriend, but you can't really control that. Um, yeah, you can't really control that. So that's that. Let's see if I had anything else written down here. That was basically it. The only actual discipline goal I have in my life right now is train every day and then do 100 dials. And what's going to stop me? What's going to hold me back? The only thing that is going to hold me back are going on nights out, clubbing, chatting to women. And am I going to change it? I don't know. I don't know, because I really like nights out. um, it's something I'll figure out as I go along. I've said that every time I've talked about it. So I suppose as things have gone on, I've realized, like, the thing. Obviously, it depends if you let it take over your life, but I haven't let it take over my life. Like, realistically, if I end up going out in the future, it's gonna be once, twice a month, which means like 2, 3 days of work missed, and it's not even 2, 3 days of work. It's 2, 3 days of outreach. Um, and even then, is it? Yeah, maybe 2, 3 days of outreach, I suppose. So it's like, again, it's, I'll just see how it goes, But like, yeah, that's all I can say. I'll see how it goes, because I like going on nights out. It keeps me sane. Um, but we'll find out. Maybe I need to lock myself in my room for 3 months and be a hermit, or maybe I don't, because maybe you can do both. We'll figure it out. I think the reason I'm more sat here to actually, like, the reason this is more serious about figuring it out is when I was selling websites. I didn't really care so much about structure and the longevity of selling websites, and the longevity of the routine of selling websites, was because I knew I was never going to be selling websites for a long time. They were always a short-term goal. Originally, they were like a short-term goal of like 3 weeks, but then I kept booking on that much work. I couldn't make cold calls, and it took longer. Um, and so that's what happened with that. But now that I'm actually like kind of in January selling paid ad, this is like, it's not the end game. Maybe I'll have another business in future, but in terms of the next year, 2, 3, 4, this is the end game. This is my plan. This is the business model I plan to run and stick with. So it's a more serious thing. It's a more serious thing. It's a more thing I have to take serious. I've just said that 3 times. Um, yeah, I think that's like basically everything.